Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's dive into this, because today we're tackling what is honestly one of the most daunting, incredibly messy, yet totally exciting milestones in a baby's life: transitioning to solid foods. If you're a parent or a caregiver, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Literally, one day your baby is perfectly content with just milk, and then suddenly you're standing in the baby food aisle, wondering where on earth to even begin. But don't worry. We're going to break this all down step by step, looking at the hard data and the very latest science to clear up all that confusion.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the 6-month milestone, how to actually spot the signs of readiness, the brand new rules for solid foods, making your own baby food, and finally, safe prep and storage. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. The 6-month milestone.
Now, before we even start talking about kitchen prep, we really need to understand the global context of infant nutrition. Why does this specific 6-month mark matter so incredibly much? Well, globally, undernutrition is associated with a staggering 45% of all child deaths. That number is huge, and it shows us exactly what's at stake here. You see, providing the right nutrition at the right time isn't just about trying to avoid a fussy eater down the road. It's a fundamental building block for a child's survival, their cognitive development, and their lifelong health.
But on the flip side of that, the World Health Organization notes that optimal breastfeeding can actually save over 820,000 children's lives every single year. And that's exactly why exclusive breastfeeding, or formula feeding if that's the path you're on, for those first 6 months is just such a critical foundation. It provides perfect nutrition and protects against gastrointestinal infections. But right around that 6-month mark, something changes. An infant's need for energy and nutrients actually starts to exceed what milk alone can provide.
Section 2. Spotting the readiness signs.
So bringing it down from the global stakes right into your own kitchen, the immediate question every caregiver has is, how do I know if my baby is actually ready? Are they hungry or just, acting like a baby? The National Health Service points out that we often misinterpret a few very normal baby behaviors. Things like them chewing on their fists, suddenly waking up a lot more in the middle of the night, or seeming to want extra milk feeds. It's so easy to look at that and think, oh, they definitely need real food. But these are actually false signs. They're simply normal developmental behaviors, not reliable indicators that a baby is ready for a bowl of puree.
So the crucial point is looking for the true developmental signs that generally show up right around 6 months of age. First off, can your baby sit up with help and hold their head steady? Second, has their birth weight doubled? That usually means they weigh over 13 pounds. Third, are they coordinating their eyes, hands, and mouth? Like, can they look at a piece of food, pick it up, and bring it to their face? And finally, when you do put a little bit of food in their mouth, do they actually swallow it instead of instantly pushing it back out with their tongue? When you see all these signs align, that's when you know it's go time.
Section 3. New rules for solid foods.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how much the narrative has shifted. Seriously, if you have older kids, or if you're getting a lot of advice from well-meaning grandparents, you need to know that the 2024 American Academy of Pediatrics guidelines have totally changed the game. It used to be all about spoon-feeding baby rice cereal first, cooking completely separate meals for the baby, and waiting a full year before giving them highly allergenic foods. But the current 2024 guidelines? Total relief for parents. Now the recommendation is to let babies feed themselves with their hands right from the start, share small unsalted portions of your own family meals, and introduce allergenic foods early and often, because that actually helps prevent allergies from developing.
This means we are moving way away from that old standard of bland, single-grain rice cereal. Instead, you want to be introducing a wide, colorful variety of nutrient-dense foods. We're talking pureed green beans, sweet potatoes, carrots, fruits, the whole shebang. Getting these vibrant flavors in right out of the gate is key to optimizing their early nutrition. And honestly, here's the best part. It's proven to help reduce picky eating later on in childhood.
So this is what a baby's plate should actually look like when they're first starting out. Look at those soft, stick-shaped pieces of roasted potato and cooked carrots. This is the core of responsive feeding. You provide these soft, finger-friendly portions, and then you just let the baby practice their palmar grasp, grabbing the food with their whole hand. You let them follow their own fullness cues. They get to decide how much goes into their mouth, which is a massive shift from that old, here comes the airplane spoon-feeding routine.
I absolutely love this stat because it completely normalizes the sometimes very frustrating reality of feeding an infant. It can take up to 20 exposures for a baby to accept a new food. 20. So if they spit out that mashed broccoli the first time, or even the 5th time, they aren't rejecting it. They're just learning a brand new texture and taste. You really have to frame your baby as an adventurous eater in training. Spitting out food, that's just a completely normal part of the curriculum.
Section 4. Making your own baby food.
All right, now that we've got the theory down, let's pivot to action. Making your own baby food at home is incredibly empowering, and honestly, it's so much easier than the baby food industry wants you to believe. The benefits here are huge. Number one, it's significantly cheaper than buying all those tiny jars. Number two, it retains a lot more of those vital vitamins and minerals. Number three, and this might be the most important, it introduces your baby to the exact flavor profiles that your family is already eating at the dinner table. Plus, you have absolute control over what goes in, meaning zero added sugars or salts sneak into their diet. And you don't need to be some gourmet chef to do this. You can literally start by just mashing up a really ripe avocado or a banana. Easy.
Section 5. Safe prep and storage.
Since babies have developing immune systems, moving into the practical side of cooking means we have to be pretty strict about food safety. But the prep process is basically just 4 simple steps. Step 1. Wash your hands, clean your workspace, and wash your produce. Step 2. Chop the food up so it cooks faster. Step 3. Steam, roast, or bake the food until it hits a safe 165 degrees Fahrenheit. This ensures it's perfectly soft and bacteria-free. And Step 4. Let it cool down and then blend or mash it. If your puree turns out a little too thick, just thin it out with some breast milk, formula, or water. Oh, and absolutely be sure to use totally separate cutting boards and utensils from your raw meats, just to avoid any cross-contamination.
Okay, so you've made a beautiful batch of sweet potato puree. Now I know the busy caregiver's immediate next thought. But how do I store this so it doesn't go bad, and so I don't have to literally cook 3 times a day?
And this brilliantly illustrates the best time-saving storage hacks out there. Fresh baby food only lasts about 1 to 2 days in the fridge, but in the freezer, it lasts up to 2 months. You can just pour your puree into some clean ice cube trays to get these perfect single-serving 1-ounce portions. Or try the plop and freeze method. Just plop spoonfuls right onto a cookie sheet, freeze them solid, and then toss them all into a labeled freezer-safe bag. Whenever it's time to eat, you just pop out a cube or 2 and warm it up. It is a total lifesaver.
But listen, here is a non-negotiable safety rule you have to remember. Never, ever save leftovers from the baby's dish. Think about it. When you feed your baby, bacteria from their mouth transfers straight onto the spoon and right back into the food bowl. In a warm, nutrient-rich puree, that bacteria is going to thrive. So always serve their food in a separate little dish. And any food that was served but not eaten, that has to go straight into the trash. No exceptions.
As your baby grows, their feeding skills are going to evolve on a pretty rapid timeline. At 6 months, they're just starting out, mostly using that whole hand palmar grasp to kind of gnaw on soft sticks of food. But by 8 to 9 months, they're going to develop the pincer grasp. That's when they use their thumb and forefinger to pick up smaller, bite-sized pieces, like peas or diced soft fruits. And by 12 months and beyond, they'll actually be practicing with spoons and eating 3 distinct meals a day alongside the rest of the family.
Let's move to and see how this builds visually. Notice how a beginner's plate at 6 months really requires those larger, soft sticks that are easy for them to hold on to while they're just learning how to chew. Now compare that to the progression at 9 months. The potatoes, the carrots, the meats, they are now chopped into distinct, bite-sized pieces. It totally mirrors the family dinner. It's just perfectly portioned for their developing little motor skills.
The guidelines actually wrap up with this wonderful piece of advice. Food intake will increase every month. Remember to expect a mess. I mean, it is so crucial to normalize the total chaos of mealtime. Experts strongly urge parents to avoid scolding their baby or frantically trying to wipe their face and tray right in the middle of a meal. Let them get messy. Touching, smearing, and playing with their food is exactly how they develop positive, low-stress eating experiences, and that is what prevents food aversions later in life. So, as we wrap up this roadmap to solid foods, I want to leave you with this really exciting question. What single ingredient food will you introduce to your baby first? Is it going to be a classic mashed banana, or maybe a vibrant spoonful of pureed butternut squash? Whatever you choose, you now have the data, the guidelines, and the safety steps you need to make it a wonderful start. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy feeding!